Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time watching, my name is Tara. I make random coloring videos for the internets. I do flip throughs, I do hauls pretty frequently. Just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I am trying to spread out a little bit, and this is an example of that. So the other day, and by other day I mean like a month and a half ago, I was at Ikea, like you do, and I saw these items. These are the Sulfagel colored pencils and the Mala watercolor pencils. And I decided to try them out. Do I expect that these are going to be the world's greatest pencils? No, I do not. But I was kind of pleasantly surprised when I opened this box, or smelt the ones in the store, I guess, because this is not open. And they actually smell like wood. They don't smell like you know, when you open like white label pencils, they have that kind of chemically smell to them. These don't smell like the high quality of like a Derwent or something, but they definitely have like that Ikea wood smell, if that makes sense. So I decided to like kind of go all in with a theme. I picked me up some Swedish candy, some, you know, Swedish fish. I realized that these are not actually like from Sweden, I'm pretty sure, but I forgot to get any like treats when I was at Ikea, and I wanted something to snack on during this video. And for some reason, I thought, you know, the candy that takes forever to chew was the best idea, but whatever. I thought it was a cute idea. So I picked up some mini Swedish fish. They're strawberry watermelon. And apparently they glow under black light. And I decided that I was going to test these out in Emelie Lidehall Oberg's Fairytales and Folklore coloring book, which is a magical journey inspired by Scandinavian fables. Let me make sure that I'm actually in frame, so I'm not just like, you know, whatevering. So I thought I had picked a page in here to do, but I don't think that I actually did. I have not colored in this book yet. Actually, let's just color this because this lays nice and flat. So what I am going to do, you know, I want to give these pencils their, you know, fair due to speak, so to speak. So let's pull them out. There is 24 pencils in this set, in the, you know, the colored pencils. They're not labeled any sort of way. They don't have caps on them. I mean, they're pretty, you know, basic pencils. My guess is, I wonder if it says on here. It does not say, I think, what they're made out of. I'm just gonna keep smelling these pencils. These just remind me, if you've ever put together Ikea furniture, it smells like Ikea furniture. So yeah, so they're not labeled, which isn't my favorite thing, but I am going to sharpen all of them. I'm going to go ahead and open this. I think it's a good selection. Here, let's see if you can kind of see the colors. Oh, don't know if that's actually showing anything. So let's go ahead and set those there. And then let's open these. Now, I don't, for the life of me, remember how much these were. They weren't expensive by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, it's Ikea. Most stuff there is not expensive. Oh, this is just being a pain and not wanting to open. Oh, there we go. So these come with 10 pencils, and these are a little bit thicker. They don't have color names or anything like that or numbers on them. These do have the name of the style or whatever, and they show that they're watercolor, and then they have the Ikea label on them. And these are obviously kind of thicker and chunkier. Now I'm positive that these are designed for children. But you know what? We're gonna mess with them anyway. This also comes with a sharpener, which I will not be using. I have no use for that sharpener. And it does come with a little water brush. So it's a little tiny water brush. It actually doesn't seem that bad. It has a nice little tip on it. Again, I don't know if you can see that. So yeah, so I'm gonna start on this. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna overthink, I think, what I'm doing. I am gonna sharpen these, so I'm probably going to either cut out me sharpening them or just fast forward through it, because nobody needs to hear me sharpen, 34 pencils. Oh, and these do fit. I have the AFMAT sharpener. These do fit in the AFMAT. It's a tight fit, but they fit. Okay, hopefully through the magical power of editing, you did not just have to listen to me sharpen 34 pencils and eat a bunch of these mini Swedish fish, which are actually quite yummy and aren't as sticky, chewy as the other Swedish fish. So yay, that's a win, if nothing else. So let's see if it will color. I think, and I'm going to switch the page. I think that this is going to work out a little bit better for what I'm trying to do. I am going to try using this brush, but just in case, I do have my Derwent water brush, and I have like another kind of a little bit nicer, a thicker brush if need be. So I am going to start off with this here lemon. Let's see how this lays down and how much color it puts out. I'm hopeful that this video is not just going to be a complete and utter bust, but if it is, you won't be seeing it. So if you're seeing it, then I guess I thought it was successful enough. I mean, like I said, I don't expect that these are going to be the world's best products. I like buying kind of budget budget products and just kind of seeing how they work and, what you can do with them, and sometimes they're actually pretty surprising. Other times, they're not surprising and they aren't that great. But I have some budget why do I keep wanting to say projects? Budget products that I actually quite like. So maybe that will be the case for these. They do seem pretty soft. I mean, it is laying down color. I don't use watercolor pencils all that often. The only only true watercolor pencils I have at this point are the Faber-Castell Oberg pencils. I love those pencils. They work, great dry, and then they also work incredibly well with water. So I don't really have any other like budget watercolor pencils. Okay, so let's see. I'm not adding like a lot of like shading. Let's just do this initial. So I got my water here, have my little towel. And I also think that, someone way more talented than me can probably get a bit more out of these than I can. Again, like I said, I don't use watercolor pencils all that often. It's hard to tell with this color if I can see it spreading into the water's like spreading into that leaf. So it's definitely spreading. I don't think that it's dissolving the color and spreading the color out a lot. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's not a ton on that brush, and I got that brush. Let me try getting it a little wetter. I don't like going in with like a lot of water because it does, you know, kind of buckle the page. Let's add, I do want to try to use all the colors. Probably putting this right down on, you know, the wet probably was not the best idea I've ever had in my life. Yeah, see that? Probably because I didn't let that dry. Wow, that's looking terrible. That's on me though, that's not on the product. Let's try to blot that up a little bit. Bob Ross say, happy little accident. Okay, let's see. Let's try, we have 2 greens here, so we can try both the greens. So how is everybody doing? I hope that everybody is doing well, had a great week. If you are not new here and you watch my videos, you know I have like a color and catch up series, which I actually haven't done in a couple weeks for a couple different reasons. One, I've been really busy. And 2, I've just kind of fallen out of love with that page and I'm not really enjoying it. And if I'm not enjoying something, I'm just not going to do it. Like, that's just the way I am. I will return to it, but just not right now. But so I have, you know, I didn't put out a video like that for a couple weeks because like I said, I was busy. I went to another state. I went to a concert for my favorite band, Sleep Token. They were up in Lincoln, so I went to that concert, which was amazing. I would put video of it up in the corner, but I would get a copyright claim quicker than I can say copyright claim. But no, that was amazing. It was such a good time. So amazing live. The only problem is I managed to get, I think I caught every germ that was in the building. So I came home sick. I just did not feel well at all. I'm still not 100%, but I want to, you know, I'm well enough to yap, so I wanted to get some videos up. And I've actually recorded a couple other videos today. They're flip throughs. And they'll probably be up before this video. Let's go ahead and add some of this. Now, I'm not pressing really hard with these. And you know, it is laying down a decent amount of color. Now, it is a bit, you know, patchy, I guess I'd want to say. But I mean, it's laying down color, nothing else. I'm curious if you know, if you're watching this, have you used these? And if so, what did you think? And, you know, me talking about, you know, budget supplies. Is there a budget supply that you really like? Like, I have, like my Brute Fooner Macaron pencils. I love those pencils. They're great pencils. I also have some like paint that's budget paint that I really like. Let's see. What else do I have that's budgety that I really like? I'm sure there's stuff, and I'm just not thinking of it right now. And not the way, you know, your brain usually works. I don't think that this brush is really working very well. Wow. It's kind of very like floppy. And again, you know, this could be just because I don't use watercolor pencils all that often. Let me try with the Derwent. I mean, it is a little bit of a thicker. But I want to give these pencils the best chance that I can. I'm not staying in the lines at all, guys. I never said I was an expert. We're learning together. A little bit streaky. Again, I think that is just me though. I mean, it's definitely spreading. It's definitely spreading. Why is this pen? Let's see, what other colors do I have here? I have this brown. So let's go in. That is a very light brown. Maybe I'll add some black to that. Try to darken it up a little bit. I'm not gonna do this whole page. We'll be here all day. My goal is to test each one of these colors, see what it looks like, see how it works. I'll probably be a much happier camper when I get to the colored pencil portion. But I wanted to try, you know, wanted to try all of them. And I'm sure, like, you know, to like layer this color, it would make way more sense to do one color, let it dry, and then go over with the other color. But ya gal's not patient. So we're just, you know, guys, we're just winging it. I mean, that actually is spreading pretty nicely. Let me go in with, let me learn how to hold a pencil. Oh, 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 that was a mistake. Oh, oh, oh no. We're gonna pretend that that didn't happen, guys. Just ignore it. Okay, let's see. We've used the greens, we've used the brown. That looks terrible. We used a little bit of the black. Let's do, now I'm just trying to get through these. So this is the pink. God, this looks so amateurish. Maybe I'll be so embarrassed that I just cut out the watercolor pencils and just say they worked or they didn't work, because this is just not going well for me at all. And we'll go in on top with this red, because I didn't learn my lesson the last time. I think what I'll do is I'm just going to do this one. I'm not gonna worry about shading and stuff. Just go in all with red. Let's try their brush again. Let's not try their brush again. I don't know if it's just the length of this brush, the fact that I need new freaking glasses, but I'm just not seeing where those bristles are going, and so I'm just going everywhere. I do have to say, like, I do think that the color spreads nicely. You know, this one seems to be dissolving. I think I couldn't really tell with the yellow because it's yellow. Like, let's just, you know, take that in just to see. Yeah, look at that. I didn't even color those and that's spreading. Yeah, that actually spreads pretty nicely. So let's try the other one as just the pink. Where did I put the pink? Didn't I have a pink? Oh, there it is. See the difference between the pink and the red when they're, you know, wet. I think when I switch to the actual pencils, I'm going to switch to the other page because I don't want to look at this mess anymore. So I'm not putting down a ton of color on that. Let's use their brush. Take it in, yeah. I actually kind of like that pink. It's very light. I think like if, you know, ew, hair. I think that if you were a more patient person and you waited, what am I doing? You waited for it to dry, you went over it again with some, you know, other colors. I think that that would work. All right, so let's try, we have two more in frame. We have a light blue and then a dark blue. These are definitely chunky pencils. These are definitely, you know, kid hands friendly. Because I don't learn my lesson, let's go in with a little bit of darker. Let's do the lighter. You know, I have a page that I did just to prove that I'm not completely inept in my Carolina Kubanowska book that I did with watercolor pencils. It actually turned out really nice. So I do know how to color. I just am very out of practice with any sort of watercolor pencil medium. So those are the watercolor pencils. That's just a mess. My final thoughts on these, I think these are great for kids. I think these are absolutely 100% designed for children. I probably will be giving these to my great niece and nephew, mainly because I have the Oberg ones. So do I need these? No, but I wanted to test them, and I have youngins in my life that I can pass stuff off onto. I think they're definitely fun. I'm surprised at the amount of color that they laid down. Like, that was surprising to me. So I'm going to, and you know, the pencil sharpener is pointless. The brush isn't bad. I'm just not used to how like wispy, I guess, that tip is. So that takes, you know, a little getting used to. I usually use like I have this brush that I use a lot. This is probably the brush I use the most. And then for fine details, I have like really tiny detail brushes, which I don't have any handy. Or I use like my Derwent water brush, which isn't as wispy as that one. So I'm gonna switch to this page because I don't want to look at that mess anymore. I'm gonna have me a little little treat, little Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream, not at all Swedish. Have me a little Swedish fish mini. Aren't these fun looking? Look at them. I don't have like a black light or anything to see if they actually glow, but supposedly they do. Choo, choo, choo. Okay. So let's see. Because I didn't swatch these, because I don't have because I don't, and they don't have like names or anything on them, I'm really gonna be winging it. Let me get like a nope, that's not gonna work. Here we go. Let me get like a little tester. So, okay, so this is obviously like a yellow. It looks very like brownish mustardy. So these are just the standard color pencils. I will put, I'm sure these are on the Ikea website. But you know, if I can't find them, I'll look up my order and see how much they were. My purchase, I guess, not my order, but just so I can at least say, you know, this is how much these cost. Because obviously that has some bearing on whether or not they're, you know, they have value. They're very much a dry, they feel very like a dry pencil to me. They feel a little, you know, they sound, I guess, more than feel a bit on the scratchy side, but I don't think that they're laying down. Yeah, they're not laying down scratchy, as far as I can tell. At least, I mean, I'm one pencil in, so what does that really mean, you know? Do you have an Ikea near you? I was so excited when the Ikea near us in Northeast Kansas opened, because you know, I think I've said before, if you've watched my videos before, I've said my husband is from the Bay Area, and when we go to see his family out there, we drive. And before we had our Ikea here, we actually, like, we went to the Ikea in Santa Clara, I think, and we loaded up on stuff and literally drove an Ikea order, you know, halfway across the country, which I just thought was kind of funny. But, you know, since the Ikea's opened up here, I mean, it's been a couple, you know, it's been 6-7 years now at this point that we've had the Ikea. You know, we go, maybe not as frequently as we used to, but we definitely still stop in there every now and then. I love their Billy bookcases. That's what we used for our library. I think they work great, especially for the price. All right, so that's the yellow. Now I'm trying to find kind of like a lighter brown. Maybe that one. Maybe that one. That's darker brown. That's black. That's more of a reddish brown. Let's use this one. And you can see just from that. See how these layer with another color. Definitely for hair that's like this, I do prefer kind of a waxier pencil because you can smush them. Prismacolors are great for that. for hair that's like grayscale, that's more, you know, individual strand type hair, I definitely prefer a drier pencil. For that, I lean towards like, I use polychromos for hair a lot. I use Pablos. I think Pablos are really great for hair. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I probably should not be doing as much as I'm doing with each one of these colors. It's just habit, you know? You kind of, I mean, at least I do. When I color, I kind of like go into this little zone. Like I'm constantly have to remind myself right now that I should probably be like talking or saying something. So, you know, we're just not both sitting here awkwardly in silence with each other. But yeah, when I color, I kind of go into like a little, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess zone would be the word. Where I just kind of zone out, focus on what I'm doing. Okay, so let's see. I don't know if there's any good like skin colors in this, so I think I'm going, maybe I'll do like, oh, you know, maybe there's supposed to be like a troll or something, so maybe I could do a green. Yeah, let's do a green. Oh, there's a lot of plants and leaves, so maybe I don't want to use that on that. Maybe purple. I think there's 2 purples in this set. Yeah, let's go with purple. Let's think outside the box a little bit. I don't often go with, you know, more unusual skin tones like greens or purples or stuff like that, blues. I did a troll, like a troll girl in a Christine Caron coloring book. I think it's actually one of the pictures that's in my opening. So when, you know, at the very beginning of my video, it shows 3 pages that I've colored over the years. And it's in that where I did a green skin tone. I was actually really happy with it. I will say I think that this purple is laying down a bit, like you can tell the scratchiness in the way it looks. However, I find that purples are usually the ones that show that more than purples and blues really seem to be the ones that will show, you know, if there's going to be any scratchiness. Now this one doesn't seem to be laying down a ton of color, but this is a very light purple color. And I am, you know, I'm trying to have a lighter hand. Let me try going in with like a little bit of a heavier hand here. Yeah, when I go in with a little bit of a heavier hand, definitely puts down more color. You know, as I was saying, I've kind of fallen out of love with that page that I'm doing for my color and catch up series. I'm just kind of at an impasse with it. This is why I, you know, usually like that series was so out of the box for me, because when I color, I tend to sit down and I try to finish a page when I can. That's not always the case, but I definitely don't spread it out over like months, which I've done with that page at this point. I think the next page I do for that is going to be, portraits are my favorite thing to color. So I think I'm going to lean towards doing like a portrait. Where did the other purple go? There it is. No, wait, is this the purple? Yes, it is. This is definitely a darker purple. Which, by the way, if you've made it this far in this video, thank you. I probably should have said something at the beginning, like that if you just want the overall thoughts, you know, just skip towards the end, like, because this is probably going to be a longer video. didn't really color this spot down here. Oops. See, I'm going into that, you know, space out zone again where I forget that I'm supposed to be talking. Sorry, guys. I don't know, maybe you prefer the less of me running my mouth constantly. I hope this concert funk that I have is done after this weekend, because it's been over a week since I've been at that, you know, since I went on my little trip. See, now I'm going on with a little bit more layers. I'm starting to get some, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Where I gotta pull out the brush. Because I don't usually use white, let's go ahead and just test the white in some areas here. Now, if I was coloring this page, like actually coloring it, I would go in with so many more layers. I'm a layerer, so, but since I don't want this video to be 5 hours long, probably best that I don't do that. This white pencil is not that great. It is, like, I'm being pretty heavy-handed with it. I'm trying to, like, kind of maybe move some of, almost use it as a blender like I do Prism. I don't know why I'm thinking I can do that, because you know, the white Prismacolor pencil you can kind of almost use as a blender. This is not doing that. Okay, that was the white. Let's see. Let's move on to these leaves. So we've got this green. Is this a green? Yep, this is a green. You know, this is why I love for my colors to, oh, that is like a dark brown. Oh, that does not look like what it is at all. That's a blue. I should be putting these in like, not in like similar color groupings. Oh, there's another green. So we have 3 greens so far. I think this is a blue. Yeah, that's a blue. Another blue, I think. Oh, that's a pretty blue. Is this a green? Oh, I think this might be a green. Oh, yep, look at that. Red, red, brown. Yep, it's that brown right there. Another brown. I think I tested these browns already. Another brown. What is this? Oh, is that a different purple? Yeah, that is a different purple. And that's like a gray. I'm gonna use this purple for some shading up here. Huh. You know, if I were to keep these pencils, if I don't pass them on to my great niece and great nephew, they're both, you know, they're at the age right now. I mean, what am I saying? They're at the age right now where they love to color. I'm 45 and I love to color. But yeah, they really like to color. So a lot of times if there's stuff I get that I decide I'm not going to use it, I pass it on to them. But if I don't and I decide to keep these, because they don't have names or numbers or anything on them, I will probably put little tags with like little stickers with numbers on them, and then swatch them out so I can, you know, it's easier to find what I'm wanting to use and not having to like test them how I am right now. I quite like this color purple for shading. I think this is nice. I'm just having to remind myself I don't need to like keep going over these spots trying to get it perfect. Like, that's not the point of this. The point of this is to test these. Oh, I forgot to do her ears, but whatever. Okay, so let's go in. I'm gonna use all 4 of these, I think, on a leaf. So this is the lightest color. So I'm just gonna go in with like a base. I do think that these lay color down pretty nicely. I mean, especially for being like a cheaper pencil. I know that neither of those was over $10. So I actually feel like these might have been cheaper than the watercolor ones. I could be wrong on that though. Like I said, I'll put the prices and information in the description box. So that's the lighter one. Let's go in. This one's a bit of a brighter one. See how all of these work together. So also kind of help me know, as far as like layering these goes, how they're going to layer, since this is 4 separate pencils that I'm going to be laying on top of each other in certain sections. Okay, set this one aside. Let's go in. This is more like the olive green one. You know, sometimes I get in the mood where I really like coloring like flowers and leaves. But usually I always lean more towards portraits. What about you? Do you have like a favorite thing that you like to color? You know, I try to get a variety, because you never know. Like, I mean, I used to think that I hated like coloring mandalas and stuff until I discovered that I actually liked coloring them. It just depended on the location of where I was coloring. Like, I'm never going to color a mandala in here in my coloring space, but you know, at my office desk, yeah, I love coloring mandalas. And then this is the darkest one. So I'm going to use less of this. Yeah, as I layer this, it's starting to get a little crumbly. Yeah, look at those crumbles right there. Crumbs, whatever. I'm gonna go back in over it with the lighter green again. I'm scared to look to see how long I've been recording. It might honestly feel longer to me because I actually recorded a couple videos prior to this. Like I said, I think I said that earlier in this video. See, now I'm just repeating myself. But those will be up before this one, I'm sure. This one's going to require more editing. Let's go in with a little bit more. You know, I set one of those greens down and now I don't remember where I put it. So even though these are a little bit, I mean, like I said, they are a drier pencil, it feels like, to me at least. I'm actually pleasantly surprised with how these are laying down. It's, you know, it's taking these layers. Let me make sure I'm still in the frame, because that would be terrible, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'm still in the frame. Look at that. Oh, guys, I have a hoodie that I'm wearing. I gotta take this hoodie off. I'm sweating. These, this studio, like, ring light that I have, boy, that thing puts out some heat. Be nice come winter, but not so much nice now. Go back in with this lighter green. Let's do another. You know, if there's a budget supply out there that you would like me to test, let me know. I can always look into getting it and testing it, and hopefully the video won't be quite as long as this one is, but you know, I like playing around with different stuff, so I'd be up for that. Now, while I typically would not call this leaf done at all, I'd probably add some, maybe a little bit of orange or something in there, some yellow, just to offset all the green. I'm calling it good for this purpose. So let's move on to these like oranges and reds. We'll use these in a flower. So we have this pink, that's pretty. This like orangey red. This is another orange. Oh, this is definitely orange. Oh, that one's really scratchy. That's a very pale. Wow, that one does not have a lot of color payoff. Is this red? This is a red. Well, yeah, it's a red. So let's use this orange one. This really not great one. That's the red. Use that orange one, and then this one's pink. So let's use these three orangey reds together. Let's see here. Let's go in with this like really light one first. Yeah, this one is the one that I'm most disappointed in. All of these have had decent, you know, color payoff. This one, not so much. And I don't think this is just because I'm trying to be light-handed. Because I think even when I try to go a little bit heavier handed, it's just not laying anything down. I wonder if, let me try something. I sharpened the other side of it just to see if that does anything. It did not. I'm not sure what I mean, the core is going to be the same. I don't know why I thought that would be that different, but you know, I said I want to give these, you know, a thorough try. I don't want to just write them off. Yeah, that one's just so pale. There's so little color payoff, and what there is really, really scratchy. So let's go in with this, you know, brighter orange. See, the color payoff on this is a lot better. I think I'm gonna take this almost to the edge because that, you know, that one just had such little color to it. I might try taking that over this one, you know, these other colors. You know, I take back what I said about I think the oranges might be the most scratchy of these. These are very, yeah. But this is a pretty orange. I mean, this is a very kind of like true orange color. I do think, aside from not really having like a solid skin tone in this like little, you know, mini set, I think that the color selection is decent. I mean, I guess you could use, you could use the darker browns for skin tones. You could use maybe like this one for, you know, I think you could use any of these browns for skin tones. I just don't know if there's enough like variety in those shades. I tend to, when I do skin, I tend to use like 6 different pencils, so. Okay, now let's go in with this, you know, this more red orange. Applying a little bit more pressure on this, just try to get a little more color down quicker. So I'm hopeful that I can get the 2 videos, the flip through videos that I made up, hopefully today and tomorrow. This one I'm probably, like right now I'm filming, it's Friday. My goal is to have this up on Monday. So I have some other stuff I want to do this weekend. But I think the longest part will be the uploading process, although I have figured out a way to make that a little bit quicker. And then the editing, this video is going to take probably more editing than most videos I do. And I'll try to put lots of timestamps on this video. Again, this is all stuff I should have said at the beginning of the freaking video. But I will try to put timestamps. YouTube and I have been fighting about actual timestamps lately because they used to appear, maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I didn't change anything about how I was doing my timestamps. It used to be it would section the video off so that you could see it on like the bar at the bottom. You'd see like little, almost like little pop-ups, like breaks kind of, as like, this is, you know, this section, this is this section. And now all of a sudden it's not doing that anymore. It's just showing like the actual timestamps in the description box, which I'll continue to put those, but if I can figure out some way for it to make it easier for people to see the timestamps, that would be great. Oh yeah, this, I don't like this one. Yeah, out of all of the standard colored pencils, that not the watercolor ones that I've used, these Ikea ones, this is the most disappointing one. It's just the color payoff's nothing. And it's, at this point, it's kind of like balling up. There's not even that many layers. I think this pen, I don't know if maybe I just got a bad one or something. Where'd the white one go? I don't know why I think this white's going to do anything, because it didn't really do anything on the purple, but yeah, that's really streaky. I'm having to stop myself from grabbing, because I have like a whole, like, you know, like three really mugs of pencils on my desk. I'm having to stop myself from grabbing either a blender or especially my Prismacolor white to try to blend this out a little bit. But I'm going to only use really like what it came with. So see if the product stands on its own. So those are the oranges. Let's do these two, like this pinkish red. I'm gonna do this here, I think. Let's see which one's lighter. Probably that one. That one is. So I think I'm only going to do one leaf on this, because this video is running long, guys. This is definitely dry. Go in with this. Maybe I should grab a different color for these little dots. I'm trying to think what one would work. Maybe one of the oranges I just used. I've been trying, one of the 100 tabs that are open in my brain right now, I've been trying to think of some of the other budget supplies that I have that I swear up and down by. Color glitter gel pens. Those are amazing gel pens, or glitter pens. They are my second favorite after the Languio, which I guess are also, I don't know if I'd call Languio budget. They've really gone up in price, but let's take, where'd that one go? This one. Is this literally, no, okay. Yeah, these are definitely, I don't know how many different ways I can say they're a dry pencil. Because, like, there's no smushing happening here. Let's pull out the pointless white again. Although I shouldn't say that. I've had whites that were worse. I recently got, you'll see it in my next haul, so here I guess is a little preview. I placed a couple orders with Blick. They're having a liquidation sale, which I'll actually put the link to the liquidation sale in the comments, because there's some stuff, there's some decently priced stuff in there. So it's worth taking a look. I know some people, when they got their orders, they had some problems with like quantities and stuff being wrong, but I think that was mainly on like paper. Everything I ordered, I didn't order any paper, so my order was fine. That, you know, but anyway, I'm like, where was I going with this? I bought the Holbein white. Now I have one other Holbein pencil, and it's not my, you know, it's not my favorite pencil in the world, but I've heard amazing things about the Holbein white, so I wanted to try it. Okay, let's do the blues. Let me test the blues again, just so I know which is which. That's pretty. That's kind of a darker one. There's like a lighter one. I'm kind of trying to put them in like a bit of a gradient. That's the lightest one. That is a gray. Probably the second. Okay. So let's do the one down here. But yeah, so yeah, I got the Holbein white. I haven't tested it. I try not to use stuff until I've shown it in a haul. I mean, maybe I should, just so I could say more about it, but to me that's more of a product review and less of just a I bought this stuff. But yeah, I should have, you know, I wasn't gonna have another haul video. I think I said in my last haul video until after Christmas. Yeah, and then the that Blick sale happened, so yeah. I didn't buy a ton of stuff, you know. I didn't. I bought stuff that had mainly been on my wish list, like my, you know, I have a gazillion wish lists on Amazon. You know, stuff that I had looked at getting, or, you know, putting on my Christmas list, and, you know, the prices were good, so I went ahead and got those things. But no, not a ton of stuff. But it'll be a nice little haul, and I'll probably do that at the end of this month, because I think I have a couple more, one or two more coloring books I think getting ready to come in that are mainly pre-orders that I've had pre-ordered for months now. These pencils, they do hold their point pretty well, but I think that's kind of a given since they're more of a dry pencil. I would say, don't take a drink every time I say dry. Yeah, it won't end well. Zoning out, guys, sorry. I think I'm gonna try using this gray for just a little bit of shadow. See how that plays with those blues. And then go back over everything. Gonna apply a little bit more pressure this time. I think that gray might have been too much of a, probably would have worked better if it was a bluish gray. But that's okay. Yeah, we're definitely getting some mess because I am, you know, applying way more pressure. trying to get, you know, more color down. You know, this book in particular, it's on, you know, it's on really nice paper. So, you know, that might have something to do with the fact that these are laying down maybe a little bit better than I thought they were going to lay down. Now on Amazon paper, they might work a bit differently. Okay, so we have all these browns. Nope, that's the gray. There's a brown. An orangey brown. Did I already use the dark browns? Sure, I don't know. All right, so let's start with this one. I'm gonna do this branch stem. I guess it's not really a branch. I want to like turn the book because that's what I would normally do for something like this, but normally I would have done, I think, also the branch first, because then some of the green would have blended a little bit better, I think, like where it goes into the branch. Okay. Ugh, I'm gonna have to do it, guys. Sorry. I don't know why I have such a hard time if I keep the book straight doing that. Do one more layer of the lighter. Try to fill in see if I can do it without moving it this time. Let me just have that gray left. There wasn't actually, I think, like a black in this at all, which is kind of surprising, I guess. Huh. If there was, I missed it. A shadow behind Okay. Try a little bit of gray on the face, maybe. Now I'm just putting gray in random places. Gray actually complements the purple pretty well. I think it complements it better than it did the blue, honestly. Okay. So, as the title of this video says, will it color? Yes, the answer is yes, it will color. Would I recommend these? Maybe. Maybe. I think that these, the watercolor pencils, I think these are fun for kids. I am 100% going to be giving these to my great niece and nephew. I think they will have a ton of fun with these. You know, they're chunky. See, so a pencil this big typically is not super comfortable for me. Just funny because I have some big pencils in my haul that's coming up, but I don't think they're quite this big. They do have a, you know, they have a pretty big core, so there's a decent amount of color in these. I think that if you are wanting watercolor pencils, you're wanting to mess with watercolor pencils and you don't know where to start, I don't think that these are where I would start. I think that there are budget sets that are obviously bigger sets that I would lean more towards. A long time ago, I had the Folklore watercolor pencils, and those worked decently. I think nothing beats the Oberg ones. However, the Oberg ones are expensive. If you think that you might want to get those and, but you're not 100% sure, you know, one of the good things about them is they're available open stock. Buy a couple, test them out, see how you like them. So for these, I think if you're in Ikea and your kid sees them and maybe wants them, I think they're fun. I would get these for a kid. As a colorist, I wouldn't recommend these for coloring unless you're a toddler. And of course, you know, a lot of this may just have been, wow, that looks terrible. A lot of this may just have been user error because I don't use my watercolor pencils that often. Now, as for these, I think these are nice. I think these are plenty nice. I obviously don't like that they don't have names on them or numbers on them. I always prefer a pencil to have some sort of identifying feature. I think that these are probably on par with Crayola. So if you have Crayola pencils, you don't need these. But you know, if you're in Ikea and you want to test these out, you want to add these to your collection, then by all means, add them to your collection. I probably will keep these. I will probably keep these and try to test them out in some other books. I probably will also keep these and put these in my office. I don't keep pencils at my office desk. I usually use markers and pens, Sharpies a lot of the time for the color that I do in there. But I think that these would be fun just to put in in my little container that I have on my desk that holds all my markers and stuff. I could just pop these in here for when I just want to do some little mindless pencil coloring. I think these are great for that. It's a small set. So yes, to the question of the video, will it color? It will color. Do I recommend them? Maybe. If you want to mess around with them, sure. If you want, as for pencils that I say work better than these at probably maybe even a better price point, the Amazon Basics pencils are actually great. Those are wonderful pencils and they are always on sale. They're dirt cheap. So yeah, I mean, this was a fun little experiment. I saw these and did I need more pencils in my collection? Absolutely not, but I thought this would be a fun little video to do. So I did it, and it gave me an excuse to buy these little Swedish fish candies, which I do recommend these candies. These are quite yummy. So yeah, if you guys have stayed through this whole video, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I know that this was probably kind of like off the wall, not like my normal content at all, but you know, I want to change it up every now and then. So yeah, I hope that everybody has a great week. If you like this video, please like it. If you aren't subscribed and you look at my content and you like my content, please subscribe. It helps the magic of the algorithm. I don't know how the algorithm works, but it works in mysterious ways. So yeah, thank you so much, and I hope that you guys have a absolutely wonderful week.